All right. Now to the right of the chat box, you are going to see a stage zoom button because you're probably doing other stuff in the background like most people are. And that's going to take some latency, drag off of your computer. So if you click that, it's going to center that camera right on the stage and make it easier for your computer to work. Then, if you have a question at any time during the show, you can put it in the chat box, or alternatively, you can raise your hand. You're going to see that button to the right of the stage zoom button, and it puts a big old hand above your head. Don't know if you can see the one above my head, but it should be there. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do some sound checks for the people on the stage. So let's go ahead and make sure all of our mics are working. Kendra, how you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Pretty good. Your mic sounds great. Donna,
Great.
how about you?
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Philip.
Good morning.
Good morning. Did you end up sending your assistant home?
Yes, I didn't need all the makeup done up, so it's nice
Yeah.
it's just audible here, audio.
Absolutely. Same here. Omar, how you doing?
I'm great. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Trevor, you?
Fantastic, buddy. Good morning.
Awesome. All right. Well, good morning, all of you. And for all of you out in the audience, like I said, thank you for sticking around for ICONversations. Today we have Omar Din from New Jersey, Philip Simon from Virginia, Donna Roberts from Washington, Kendra Soden from Saskatchewan, and Trevor Big, our moderator from British Columbia. Trevor, take it away.
Fantastic. Thank you, Brian. So we'll just kick things off right away. You did an amazing introduction on everybody. Question number one for the icons on the stage is to please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your real estate career. I'll kick things off. I'm Trevor Bake from Williams Lake, BC. I've been in real estate 4.5 years, but with EXP for 2.5. Two-time icon winner with over 200 transactions under my belt. I am stoked to be today's moderator because we've got a rock star panel. I will send the mic to Kendra. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your real estate career thus far.
Thanks, Trevor. My name's Kendra Souden, and I'm from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. I'm 13 years in the business and almost 3 years here at EXP. I started at Remax on a team, and then I moved over to Coldwell Banker, where I became a co-owner there and made the transition to EXP in early 2021. So I've been a team member in a partnership and now a solo agent for almost 5 years. So I've kind of got to experience a little bit of everything.
Fantastic, crazy diverse. I am very interested in some of your answers to these questions. Philip, how about you? Go next, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, Philip Simon, the Northern Virginia area. I've been in the industry a little over 12 years. I started off on a small team, and after a handful of years, hopped over and started my own team. I've been doing that for about the past 5 years, and we sell right around 100, 125 units and increasing.
Fantastic, lots of experience on the stage today. Donna, how about you?
Hi, Donna Roberts. I'm here in Washington State and Oregon State. I have been in the business 18 years, 3-time icon, 3rd year at EXP. Did about 10 years as a solo agent and probably the last 8 years working with a team. Right now, we currently have about 7 members on our team, so that's where we're at now. I think that's about it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Lots of production on this stage right now. Omar, how about you, buddy?
Hi, Omar Din here, based out of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, kind of the greater Philadelphia area. Been licensed since 2016, started off on a team for about a year, became a solo agent. As a solo agent, I had a couple years where I finished in the top 25 in the state of New Jersey for units. I've been slowly assembling a team. I'm up to 5 agents on my team now, not counting myself. And just happy to participate today.
Thank you, Omar. Fantastic. Demian, last but not least. Demian, you there, buddy? Okay, if he cannot hear me, then I will jump right back to Omar. Omar, please elaborate on one or two of the key strategies or practices that helped you achieve the level of success that you're currently at today, and then touch on the time frame involved in achieving your current level of production.
So it's been a little bit of a roller coaster. Starting off as a team member, I was working under a team lead who was predominantly immersed in the REO world. So I cut my teeth in distressed properties. And in that time, and this was back again in 2016, I always wanted to position myself where there wasn't competition. And in that particular era, because I was working a lot with distressed properties and bidding against investors, what I started doing was getting really proficient in 203K renovation loans. And the advantage that gave me was I was able to market to people that wanted a custom home and wanted to be able to design on a dollar and have the finished product be their design and not someone else's, and design and having to compromise. And it made it super easy to get properties under contract for my clients because we're bidding against investors that were purchasing and making their offers based on the fact that they needed to turn a profit in order for them to want to have any interest in that property. So early on in my first 6 months of being licensed, I had 40 closed sales as a result of taking that strategy. Fast forward about a year or two, now I'm a solo agent. And at that point, I was able to solicit REO contracts from various banks throughout the country, and that helped keep my transaction count nice and high. Fast forward again into the world of COVID in 2020. Well, we have all these moratoriums halting the foreclosures, and that was probably about 80% of my business at the time. That was the first time in my career that I was a little concerned and downright scared. So, at that point, I had to completely revamp my business strategy. And unfortunately, I saw a lot of my peers that were exclusively REO agents go belly up. So what did I do? I had to rebrand myself, take a real deep step into just the retail market. I went out, I wrapped my truck, got a new CRM, and just started doing a lot more networking, just putting myself in public areas to break out of that REO mindset and just infiltrate like the local markets. So some of the ways that I would do that was just hosting events or sponsoring events. It could be anything from a classic car show. It could be toy drives, like things of that nature. Things that exist in no matter where you're at. And, with that, kids sports teams are another thing that I'm a big fan of sponsoring. And just through little steps like that to become more immersed in the community, really pushed the brand of my team. And, that's ultimately what has not only enabled us to keep afloat through COVID and post-COVID, but also we're experiencing growth where, again, depending upon who you ask, I'm unfortunately seeing people slide backwards and, having a little bit of a tough time right now. So, in a nutshell, that's kind of what's been spawning our growth here this year.
Yeah, fantastic. A couple of great examples of isolating a niche and just expanding on that. And then again, I think one of the things that I use the most as well is community involvement. I'm in a bit of a smaller town, so community involvement is a huge one for us. Kids sports team, I've got 3 of my own, so we're at all the sports events. We do the Big Brothers Big Sisters thing, so community involvement has been huge as far as expanding my own network as well. Donna, why don't you go next? Please elaborate on a couple key strategies or practices and the time frame involved in achieving your current level of success.
Sure, thanks. I would say for my strategy for success from when I started, when I first got in the business, I was a single mom with young kids at home. And so I was trying to juggle that. I had a daughter with special needs, or I have a daughter with special needs. And so I was trying to juggle all the things, and it was imperative as a single mom to have a calendar and be scheduled and have a plan, so I could get done everything I needed to get done. So really, I plugged in and got a mentor who was doing what I wanted to do. So I found somebody that I could mentor. I got a coach and just plugged in and did what I needed to do on all my off hours. I just really, considered this my job. This was my second job, I worked another job and I had kids. And so I just really had to schedule things and live by the calendar to make sure it happened and make sure that I did put forth in front of myself the 3 most critical things I needed to get done for the week and make sure that those were non-negotiables, that I took care of those and took care of them out the gate. So, I would say I got in the business right when the real estate market kind of died the first time, or like the big problems in 2006-07 that happened. So I had to really dig in and be a student of the business and figure out a process to be able to work with clients and make them feel comfortable with what it takes to buy a home. So that's what I would say is really having a plan, having some goals set, and then working that plan and trying not to deviate from it as best you can, given unless emergency kind of thing, but really try to get yourself scheduled.
Couldn't have been more well said. Time blocking. I live my entire life off of a calendar. Everything personal, business, it's all written down. Everything's time blocked. I wouldn't know what to do without my calendar. So I totally am on that same page. And then as well as mentorship. Find somebody to look up to. You can't keep trying to recreate the wheel. There's somebody that's out there that's already done it. So find a mentor and cling to them. Philip, how about you go next, buddy? Please elaborate on a key strategy or 2 that you've used and the timeline that you've taken to achieve your level of success.
Yeah, I started a real estate company here, this real estate team just about 5 years ago. And I think looking back, and just a little bit of reflection, time gives us that opportunity to look back. There are a handful of things. I think the first thing was just having a great home life. I think if you don't have, a solid relationship and a solid balance there, if your home life isn't, where it needs to be, I think everyone should start there. I think that allows for more things to get done on a smoother, more efficient level. So I know for me, just making sure that is right has been always the foundation for me to be able to do great things. So making sure my wife and 2 kids are where they need to be. I've got a 3-year-old and a 3-week-old. So just kind of handling things in the proper manner there. And, as they say, happy wife, happy life. So I tend to make sure that is correct. Secondly, taking care of my body. I lost 30 some pounds this year, and I can definitely feel the difference in terms of energy, drive, focus, those things there. So I think just, again, continuing to treat your body like a temple, and understanding that you need this thing to get work done, to lead people, to make a difference in your communities, to grow a real estate company and empire. You've got to put that work in and be disciplined to do that. Third would be identifying a little bit what Donna said, right? Identify the things that really move the needle. For me, it's generally 1 to 3 things each day. I know that this is what I have to do. And if everything goes to hell in a handbasket after that, no big deal. I move the needle with the most important things. So identifying what those things are is huge. And I think it starts with having, knowing what your overall arching goal is. I think it's hard to get a 10-year goal out there. I think you've got to really, have some crystal clear ideas about maybe where you want your life to go. But again, it's a bit of a guesstimate, but I think you can really start to get a 5 and a 3-year goal, which then will help you get your 1-year goal. And if you can dial in on what you want to accomplish in that year, you're going to be able to identify what things will most move the needle effectively to get you there by the end of it. The 4th thing is, once you identify those things, is put them all into a calendar, right? I mean, you could both elaborate it or mention this. I too live by a calendar. I think you have to. I think it's hard to get things done, in an efficient manner and be where you need to be if you're not actually identifying, putting it in, and making sure that you're crossing it off. And then finally, mentorship, networks, and relationships. I think that's key, right? It's your journey to run, but having those people around you who can bounce ideas off you, who can tell you, slow down, speed up, try this, encourage you. When you hit the low lows, you need encouragers there and people to remind you about who you are. And when you're at the high highs, you need people to remind you, hey, what's the next step? And, congratulations. Okay, get your head out of the clouds and let's get back to work. So for me, those are kind of really what has moved the needle from going from solo agent to running a team of, we got about maybe 10 agents or so. Half of them are full-time, the other half part-time, and continuing to surge forward.
Yeah, right on, Philip. I love that you brought up the fact of work-life balance, personal goals. I think that's often neglected. I think lots of realtors meet up and talk about business goals and business strategies and often neglect their personal goals and work-life balance. And that does play a huge key in how you present yourself in the business. So thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah,
Kendra,
Trevor, one thing I'd say about that real quick too is that, I don't necessarily believe in a balance. I think there's always a counterbalance to it. I believe in seasonality. And sometimes, this is my wife and I talk about, sometimes there's a season where I'm out here busting my ass and it's long weeks and long days. And she knows that maybe I have to take a showing late at night, or, I'm doing some extra events because we're pulling in more agents and we're doing some heavy recruiting. So I don't necessarily believe in balance. I believe in communication and making sure that everybody's on the same page. And I think it makes a huge difference.
Absolutely, 100%. I don't know what the seasons are like where you're at, but we generally have January, February is like full of snow and -30. So that's when that's the time that I can really harness in on my family life. And then the rest of the 10 months is, well, exactly like you said, high communication. Kendra, take it away.
Great, thank you. I was extremely fortunate when I got into the real estate business. I was able to leverage my past experience, which was in the banking industry, and worked in appraisal, and I had experience flipping homes as well. So trust built pretty quickly amongst my sphere, and I was able to leverage that. So I think if you're looking, that's one thing that I think people sometimes overlook, is how they can leverage their past experience, whether it's directly related to real estate or not. But we all have built relationships and trust somewhere along the line. If people trust you in that situation, they're going to trust you in the real estate market as well. And then what I did with that is I truly believe in taking really good care of the clients that I have in front of me. It's cheaper and easier to keep a client than it is to get a new one. And so I've really worked my client experience. And when I say that, I don't mean what I gift my clients or things like that. I've honed in on what their experience is like from the time they contact me to reach out to inquire about working with me to closing. And I've honed in on my discovery call process, my onboarding process throughout the transaction, and those milestones. I've really dialed it in because we do this every single day, and it's easy for us in most cases, right? But for our clients, it's often their first time, or it's been years since they've done it, or it's different, they don't remember. There's a lot of emotions involved. So when you can prepare them and guide them for what's next, what could happen, and let them know that you're taking care of them in a way that isn't extremely demanding of your time. Because again, this is like a system for us. We do it all the time. So I've really dialed that in for my clients. And I will say that working a CRM, definitely not my strong point. Taking care of the clients I have in front of me absolutely is. So probably the last 5-6 years, I've plateaued around that 50-60 deals per year. And what I know would probably push me over that is being more diligent with my CRM after the fact, nurturing them, those sorts of things too. So there's lots of different ways to do it in this business. And that's how I've gotten to where I am today.
Yeah, very good point. I was, my first year of business, I was the kind of agent who was always trying to find the next client and almost neglected the clients I had. It wasn't until I really started, exactly like you said, nurturing the clients that I had, being extra over the top with the clients that I currently had, that I was able to retain clients and then get referrals from those clients. And that's when my business really started to grow.
Absolutely.
Kendra, why don't you just keep going? If you could start all over, what would you do differently?
And can I ask a follow-up question of Kendra real quick?
Oh, please do.
Kendra, I'm curious if you might be able to give us 1 or 2 examples on the buy side and the listing side of what I'm coining, right? I've been talking about this exact thing with my team, and we're talking about world-class service and what does that look like, red carpet service. So I'm curious, you took some time to really hone this in. Could you give us 1 or 2 examples of maybe something you do on the buy side that you noticed and kind of increased, same thing on the listing side that makes it, an amazing experience for your clients?
Absolutely. So one of my favorite things to do is once I have a conditional offer in place with a client, I have a templated email that I have sitting there, and it outlines the common conditions that we typically have, because this is the time period where people are super excited. They're like, oh my gosh, what is next? And they're messaging you at 10 o'clock at night or all these things. They're unsure. And again, like I said, we've done this a million times before. So I have it actually templated in my Gmail. So I pull it up and I plug in, it kind of reads like this: congratulations on the conditional purchase of the address, important date to note, and I put the condition removal date and I explain what that date is. So that's the date that we need all conditions removed by. Our conditions are as followed. So I put number 1, typically it's financing. So I've sent everything to, and I input their name of their mortgage broker. This is taken care of. They'll get working on the mortgage approval right away. Condition 2 is a home inspection. So here are 3 home inspectors that I recommend, why I like them. This is what the process is going to look like. You'll either have a morning inspection or an afternoon inspection. You can choose whoever you want for your home inspector, provided they're certified. Please let me know who you would like to use. Most people come back to me and say, oh, I'll use who you recommend. And I say, I'll book this for you. So then I can control my calendar. I ask them for, what are some days and times that work for my client. So they provide that with me. Then I also talk about like the disclosure statements, any permit histories, things like that. So I describe what they are because we have acronyms for them. What's a PID? What's a PCDS? I said, this is the property condition disclosure statement. It's the questionnaire the seller fills out saying if they have anything to disclose to us. I will obtain all these things for you. I've ordered this for you. So it really outlines it in a very simplified format for them. And then at the bottom, I recap what I need from them. Who's your home inspector that you would like to use? When's your availability? When I'll pick up the deposit check, or we do things differently in Saskatchewan. Not everyone can use checks, but bank drafts, those types of things too. So everything is laid out in a templated email that's super easy for me to format. But how often do you find yourself answering all of those questions, maybe more than once, or there's confusion on who's doing what when? So my formula for it is, what is it? What does it mean? When does it need to be done by? And who's going to do it? I basically put that in there so they can refer back to it at any point in the transaction during that condition removal period and know that it's there. So it's pretty rare these days that I get people asking me these questions. Okay. And then typically I don't see them again until the home inspection. Of course, I'm happy to, but their questions are answered. They've got everything taken care of, those types of things. So that's one thing in the buyer's journey that I've really had good success with, and clients give me great feedback on it. And they feel so relieved too, because there's a lot going on for them.
I love that. Thanks so much there. Thanks, Trevor, for letting me ask that.
Yeah, no, that was perfect. I hope everybody was taking notes. That was value. Kendra, like I said, if you want to just keep rolling it out, if you could start all over again, what would you do differently?
I think when I got into this industry, I felt like I had to present myself in a particular way and maybe be somebody who I truly wasn't. And so what that looked like for me was I aligned myself with a team that we were very professionally dressed. Now, keep in mind, I live in Saskatchewan. We are in the middle of the prairies. We're like, there's farmers everywhere. We're a small city, 250,000 people. Like, we're regular people. But I would find myself in my marketing in high heels and pencil skirts and like always with my makeup on and my hair done and all those things. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's who you are, but it wasn't really who I am. I'm a little bit more casual. I've got a good sense of humor with my clients. So I aligned with the version of success I thought I needed to be in this industry. And I hid my true authentic self from my marketing. But I was very different when I transacted with a client. And it was at one point I became really good friends with a client, and we would go for coffee every once in a while. And she said to me, I work with you because of you, not because of what you look like on the back of that magazine. And that was a big aha moment for me, that the more me I am, the more I'm going to attract my most aligned clients and people who want to work with me, rather than trying to be something that I really wasn't. So that would be a big piece of advice that I would give to anybody, is you don't have to be anybody other than yourself. And when you show that, that's going to be your unique factor that makes you stand out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. I was definitely guilty of that myself. I'm in a same kind of position you are. A small little town, about 11,000 people in my local community. But same deal. When I first got into the business, I was suit and tie and buttoned up, and well, nobody else around me is, and it wasn't myself either. So authenticity, people can tell when you're faking it. So be authentic for sure. Donna, why don't you go next? If you could start all over again, what would you do differently?
I'm so glad you sent me these questions so I could think about this, because when I first saw this one, I was like, oh my gosh, I felt like, what could I do different? I think the biggest thing for me, and you don't think about it when you're starting, I was divorced and had kept my ex-husband's name. So I started building my business thinking that someday I would remarry and change my name. And so I think if I were to do something different, I would have, first of all, got an LLC earlier than I did in the business. I would have got it the first year for tax purposes here. And then second of all, I think I would have named my business something that didn't have my name in it. So I recently remarried, but it took, it was about 20 years since I had kept this name. And so building a team in my old married name is just kind of awkward a little bit for me. So I think if I were to do something different, I would, is to really identify, I didn't know I was going to build a team at that point. So I guess it really would have been a hard decision to make. But if you do think that you're going to grow your business, is to think a little bit bigger and think of the business part as far as, like I said, an LLC and maybe a name that doesn't have, for me, I wouldn't have my name in my team name. That would be something if I was do different if I started over.
Yeah, well said. Leave as many doors open as possible. I like it. Omar, why don't you go next? If you could start all over again, what would you do differently?
So a big eye opener for me, and this happened after a little bit of a lull that was hit maybe half a year ago, was really properly loving on my past clients. From day one as a new agent, I was always so hyper focused on new clients. And when I recently adopted a new CRM, I started compiling a list of all of my past clients, since my time as a new agent. And through the process of scrubbing the information, when I looked at how many of these clients had additional transactions done with another agent, and it wasn't because there was anything wrong with our transaction, but somebody just happened to be at the forefront of their mind the next time that they needed another transaction. So I wanted to quantify how much of a loss I took by failing to keep in touch in a proper manner with my past clients. And when I did the math, it equated to almost $250,000 in actual commissions that was lost over, let's call it a 5-year stretch, just from simply not keeping in touch with clients that had nothing less than a perfect and positive experience. So don't lose touch with your past clients. It can be a very expensive lesson. I mean, we work so hard for new business, but the easiest business you can get is someone that you already took care of. You don't have to rebuild trust. You don't have to resell them on using you. It's just, remind them that you exist by, taking some sort of vested interest in what's going on in their lives.
And Omar, how are you keeping in touch with your CRM? Are you calling? Are you sending emails? Are you sending birthday cards? What are you doing to make sure that you're staying top of mind with your CRM?
It's a combination of things. So one, yes, I have automated emails going out, automated text messages, as well as, an underlying principle in things that I send out to people is I want to make sure that if I'm going to take the time to spend to print something, produce something, pay the postage, and have it get mailed out, the one thing I want to make sure is that it's not just going to instantly hit the trash can. There's so much junk mail that goes out there. So how do you ensure that a mailer that you send out, it could even be like, something is like that everybody commonly does, like it just sold or just listed or anything like that. So some of the things that I have printed are things that I know will not get thrown away. One of them, and you can get these made for like less than $1 a piece, is a dishwasher magnet that just says clean or dirty. People love them for some reason. Obviously, it's branded with my contact information and my team info on it. Another one that I'm a big fan of that people love is it's a kitchen magnet. It's kitchen conversions. It just shows you quick and simple calculations of converting how many teaspoons in a tablespoon, how many tablespoons in a cup, so on and so forth. People use that stuff heavily because it actually has a function versus just sending a piece of paper with my name on it that they have no reason to keep it. It serves no function, and it's ultimately going to land in the trash can. So I'd rather, spend, and again, we're not talking a massive expenditure. Most of the stuff can be done for under $1 a piece. Things like that I know has a pretty solid chance of not ending up in the trash can. Phone calls, yes. I would say prioritize your clients into like an A group, B group, C group. Your A group, yeah, definitely make sure you're making phone calls. B and C, they can be a little less personal because you only have so many hours in the day to get all of this done. So, like I said, if you categorize your clients A, B, and C, make sure you're always calling the A clients. Or hosting events, pictures with Santa, toy drives, anything you could think of to gather people so that now you have a reason to reach out to people too versus just, hey, how are you doing? Which that's not a bad thing either.
Thank you for elaborating on that. I've used that kitchen conversions one and had clients rave about it. So I preach that as well. Philip, if you could start all over again, what would you do differently?
Faster, bigger, stronger, all those things. I guess initially, Donna, you made me think about this. When I first started my company, the name of my company is the Nomus Group. I had an email that was Nomus Group International. And so if I could start it all over again, I would not have done that email address. It was the longest email address known to man. So we finally converted that to Homes by Nomus, which is much simpler, and our clients are raving, and everyone is thrilled about that. But I would have done all this faster, right? I would have talked to more agents. I would have, talked to more clients. Just realizing the opportunity that I had in front of me with real estate and specifically here inside of EXP, just all of it faster for sure. I probably would have leveraged a little bit sooner. I think I waited a little bit too long to leverage a little bit. So bringing someone into my world to take some of that paperwork off in terms of like transaction coordinator and then an administrator, director of ops, and even just, partnering with some agents to do showings and stuff, getting that stuff off and keeping me in my money making activities allowed me to grow the business as fast as possible. And then, like I said, I do run a team. And so looking back, I just think about, I probably would have held those, one, set expectations sooner and clear, and two, held the line in terms of what the standards are a lot more fiercely, and realizing that there are people that will and people that won't. The quicker that you can identify that and move them in the right direction, the better off you're going to be, because your energy will be much more used with the people that are heading in the same direction as you, versus trying to fight someone to get onto the train or off of it. So that's what I would do if I went back and did it all over again. Also, I wouldn't care what anyone think. I think for a long time I cared what people thought, and I realized, you know what, that's for the birds. So I need to do what's right for me, my wife, my kids, my family, those people on my team. And the quicker I got rid of that mindset, caring what anyone thought, the more success I began to have.
Yeah, absolutely right. You couldn't have said it better. Thank you for saying that. Do you want to jump into the next one then? Or actually, you know what? Let's go to this one. In the current market conditions, what are you doing to stay connected with clients? Current market conditions meaning, obviously interest rates are high. There's less buyers out right now. What are you doing to stay top of mind with buyers and sellers?
So the simplest thing is pick up the phone, right? I mean, we are back to basics, at least in my organization. We are hammering on the basics, and this is all about human connection, especially as AI emerges, especially as all this technology around us, flows. People are somewhat looking for more human experience, right? And while we can leverage technology, the biggest thing that we're doing is getting back in contact with our people and providing value, right? So we are picking up the phone and having that. We are explaining market opportunities. So right now, I believe there's an opportunity for buyers over these next month, 2 months, right, to get into houses before these rates drop and the masses come back to the market and we see prices rise again. So, I think it's incumbent upon us as an agent, as a realtor, as I tell people, right, I help people basically manage wealth through real estate, right? So it's incumbent upon me as their real estate wealth advisor to explain what's going on. And if we're going to move move in the next 6 months, we should be moving now if the opportunity is there and ready to do that. So picking up the phone, having those conversations, and then the deeper you can dive and provide value right now, that is what people want. You have to differentiate yourself. You have to show value and help people understand why they want to stay connected with you for a real estate reason. We have done some e-alerts. So what we do is we've set up everyone inside of our database to receive some type of alert with properties that are hitting around their home. So if they own a home, they're seeing what's happening in the market. We are posting and sending equity reports in terms of what people have in their house. So we are being proactive, and then we wrap all that with continuing to be active in the community relative to charity. So just on Monday, we had a huge blitz day. Once a month, we have a blitz day to where we basically from 8 to 8 have all our agents come in and we call around one specific thing. This one was around, we are partnering with a local charity called Boxes of Basics, and they're putting together boxes for kids who are underprivileged in the area. Shoes, hats, coats, gloves, stuff like that. And so for the entire day, we called our entire database and helped them get involved with this as well. So we got donations, and of course, we follow up with 2 final questions, which are, what are your real estate related plans for the next 12 months? And who do you know who's looking to maybe buy or sell, right? Someone in your church family, something like that. And we obviously picked up business by making those calls. So you've got to be on top of it. You got to provide value, but on the base level, pick up the phone, contact people. Don't do it passively, do it intentionally. And you're going to find that there is opportunity out there, but you've got to dominate the first and easiest farm you have, which is your database, the people that know you, like you, and trust you.
I love the term real estate wealth advisor. I think I'm probably going to use that once or twice. And I love that you brought up multiple touch points, but again, at the end of the day, you boiled it down to picking up the phone. If you want more buyers, pick up the phone. More sellers, pick up the phone. If you're trying to grow your team, pick up the phone. That's such an underutilized thing nowadays. Everybody's wanting to send, pre-made texts with Chat GPT, and I think there is a lack of human communication right now that everybody's a little bit craving.
We're getting a lot of just a quick tactic, right? I try to speak in more principles. They say techniques are many, principles are few. Techniques always change, principles never do. One of the tactics that we're using is that we got this from Tom Ferry, but we got this, we're doing the ZMA. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. We are texting people a picture of what their Zestimate is on Zillow and saying, what do you think about this price? I've got my own thoughts on it. And we're getting responses back on that and some really interesting conversations and engagement. So just a little tactic that is gaining engagement from our database.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Donna, let's go next. In the current market conditions, what are you doing to stay connected with clients?
Well, just like Omar, same thing. We're Tom Ferry coached as well for the last 8 years, and we do the Zestimate. We send out basically the touch with your client in multiple ways. So I recently in the last year I hadn't been doing really email marketing. So I've added that in, and I'm trying to just have that have value. So I think it might've been Omar, somebody talking like something. So they're not just, you want them to open, read, whether I do a personal video in there, whether it's a market update, the same thing. I try to do short little videos to clients, making sure that we're connecting with people on all levels. So for example, we did our EDDM mailing, every door direct postcard that went out, where I was thinking about Philip talking about something of value. Well, we always try to have, when I sent out my Christmas cards on the back, I had a QR code to where they could go have information on the Christmas ships. A lot of people around here on the river want to see the Christmas ships. And we had a QR code for if someone wanted to go to all the tree farms, so that people wouldn't just toss your card away or put it in the back. Like, we know that they had saved it so that they could go look up something or get more information from it. So I would say really just making sure that I think it's pretty multifaceted, because we all know that, I'll have one agent that has great conversion talking to people and she's not making as many calls, but her texting back and forth and her videos that she's sending people are off the charts. So it's really just finding out how your client is communicating and making sure you're getting value to them in one of those contexts.
Yeah, fantastic. Finding valuable and creative ways to kind of provide value. We've used the same technique up here. When everybody's property assessments came out, we printed them out and sent them to everybody with a little note that says, give me a call and I'll tell you why this number's wrong. And it drummed up a lot of communication. Kendra, why don't you go next? In current market conditions, what are you doing to stay connected with clients?
Like I said previously, me and my CRM aren't the greatest of friends, but what I'm doing to stay in contact with clients is utilizing social media. So I'm going in and I'm making comments on clients' posts if we're friends or they follow me on Instagram and I follow them back, and just commenting on their posts. It starts a conversation. When I reply back to their stories, I try and have conversations with them in their DMs. Everything's been pretty relationship based for me. So I think this is just a really genuine way for me. I'm truly interested in what they are up to these days and staying in touch and commenting on, oh my goodness, your kids have grown so much since, you moved in, all that stuff. What are you up to these days? Those types of things. And then also I'm finding that, like last night, for instance, my son, it was his soccer practice, and I just started chatting with one of the dads, and of course it led to real estate, and we just started talking about that. So, being human, having those conversations with people, trying to infuse real estate in a way that doesn't feel forced or salesy has always been important. It comes pretty naturally for me. And that's what I've been doing lately. So just keeping up with relationships is the direction I've gone with it, because that feels good to me.
So would you say social media is your number one then as far as staying connected, or would you say community involvement?
Probably social media. I have more of a reach there than me going on the one-on-one. You just get to go a little bit deeper with people when you're in the community aspect of it. But yeah, I think if I took half an hour each day to go and just be really intentional about finding my clients on social media and commenting on them. Usually I'm friends with them or they follow me on Instagram. But Katie Lance said this many years ago. I don't know if you can still do it, but in Facebook, like she would friend all of her clients on Facebook. And if they accepted, she created a list in there of a list of clients. And so it was really easy to go to that list and just pop into their Facebook or it's not so much Instagram, but back then it was Facebook. And so that was a really easy way to have them just all in one spot and just go and checking in on them.
Which platforms do you utilize the most?
Instagram is probably where I'm at the most.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. That's one I'm currently utilizing the most as well.
Yeah.
Omar, why don't you jump in? In current market conditions, what are you doing to reconnect with clients or keep connected with clients?
For me, it's about doing, events, as well as social media. One of the things, a philosophy with, not just like myself and my team, is to just always be a beacon of giving. And usually it's more time, information, services versus just, throwing money at something. An example of one. So, I'm involved in the automobile world, and the historical commission in my township, they do, one of the events that they do annually is a classic car show, and it's a fundraiser to help the preservation of like some of the historical buildings in my community. And so what I did this most recent year, now I sponsor the event, and at the show, I had asked the commissioner of the Historical Society, hey, would you mind if I shot a compilation video, did, interviews of all the people that were showing these beautiful classic vehicles and just do edited videos for them that I would give them away to all the participants, as well as make a compilation video for the Historical Commission for them to use on their own advertising. Yeah, sure, absolutely. And obviously there was no cost or anything done with this. And so what ended up happening is, in the process of doing these things, right, I'm having just great conversations with these people. I mean, some of these people have owned these cars for, decades and, done all the customizations themselves. And in doing this, then when the interviewing is done, the people are asking me questions on, oh, well, what do you do for a living, your role in this? So, obviously I explain to them that I'm a local realtor. And from doing this event that I just would have done anyway, I walked out of there with 2 listings in the next couple of weeks. just from simply participating in a community event. And also I just met so many people. And one other kicker of it was at the end of each interview, I said, all right, so I can give you your final product. Just here, write down your name, your email address, your phone number. So now I just buffered my database by giving away free gifts to people on something that was like near and dear to their heart. So we've taken that same, and that was kind of done by accident. There was zero intention on that other than I just wanted to be a part of this event. Now we've learned how to replicate that in other events, and it's producing the same results.
How many events a year are you saying that you're a part of?
I try to do something at least every quarter, sometimes more. It really just depends on what is available, what seems to be, organic, and what scheduling allows. A big thing is that any of these events that you're trying to be a part of, it's got to be real. For me, automobiles, I was a musician most of my life. There's a few other, circles that I run in. And when they are true interests of your own, the relationships that you're going to make with people are going to be very organic. Like now for myself, like I'm not a sports guy. I never was. So I'm not going to go and, to a football game with a bunch of people and have like common conversation. That's just not in my blood. And I don't believe in being, disingenuine. So any of the things that I do are things that I truly know about. And it really does help facilitate much deeper and organic connections with people because we're connecting on true things we have in common versus trying to force a conversation.
Yeah, no, perfectly said. I had a mentor once tell me that people gravitate towards businesses with a strong set of brand values. And so then you're supposed to try to identify your brand's core values and make marketing decisions that align with them. And that's the whole name of the game right there. Donna, when you joined EXP, what did you do first? And most importantly, for any new agents, what should they do first?
It's when you've been in business for a little while and you change brokerages and you've got any business at all, it's kind of a big deal. So there was a lot, business-wise to transfer everything over, getting my team up to speed. I really feel like for me, it was letting everybody know that, first of all, I had my own domain and I didn't have a brokerage domain. So that was one of the things where you said to do over again. I think Omar might have mentioned something with his email signature. I knew that I could reach people because I kept the same email, which I had my own domain. So was really letting the clients know that I'd moved to a place where I was able to offer what is in it for them, the consumer, our clients, is like, why would I move to companies? Because I was going to have access to all these different tools that I did not have before. So I think just getting the word out that I was still here and that it was a better move and that we were here to serve them and take care of things the same, but we would have more tools available to us. So that the client knew that it was just the same. It wasn't anything different for them.
They were still getting that Donna service, just the brand on the sign changed.
What I think is really ironic is so many people think I opened my own brokerage. It's kind of funny. I did end up getting a building for our team. I worked remotely for the first year here during COVID, but it's kind of funny because people just think it's our own brokerage house. So they don't even, it wasn't a big deal. They just thought, oh, okay, we've got more things that we can do. So like, for example, I just got certified for the luxury division here for EXP, and I was with Sotheby's before, and I really wanted to be able to have my listings populate to some of these higher end portals, and that it's now included in that. So I can do that. I can go to the Wall Street Journal and the Robb Report and Global's Mansion, and I couldn't compete on that level. So I love it that there's the different divisions here that we have, whether someone wants to work with relocation or, someone wants to be an icon, a mentor agent and mentor people. I love that we have all these different pieces available to us. So I just had to let the client know that nothing was going to change as far as what we were doing. It was just we moved as a business model, we moved to what made more sense for us.
Yeah, very well said. You mentioned that many people thought that you opened up your own brokerage. Was that because EXP wasn't a very known brand in your local market?
Yes, exactly why. Which honestly was one of the reasons that I was hesitant to move at the time. During COVID, I paid the brand I was with before about $170,000 in fees with franchise fees and brokerage fees, etc. The privilege of working out of my home office. And I was very frustrated with that. And I had looked at EXP because we did have a team, and I didn't like the other brokerage that had a team model. And really the reputation coming from a strong brand that had a great reputation, I was looking for something. And I was a little worried that because we didn't have a strong presence out here in the Pacific Northwest, and the few people that were here, I agree with Kendra that you need to be yourself there, but we have all types of people in this brand. And I got a little worried that there were not as professional of a presence that I wanted to have out here. And I just decided, because EXP allows you, you could have a purple sign with daisies and call yourself the Daisy Group if you wanted, and put EXP on the sign and gets signed off to do it. And that's your brand and what you're building. So I liked the fact that I just decided to make my brand was what people were going to think of when they thought of EXP. And so I embraced that.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Philip, when you joined EXP, what did you do first? And what is the most important for any new agents to do first and foremost?
When I first joined EXP, the first thing that I did was get around the people that were moving and shaking and making things happen and heading in the direction that I wanted to head. I think it's most important for people to set a vision for around what they want. Different people join this organization, EXP, for different reasons. Some join because of, the stock option and the ability to set a retirement out there through the generation of that. Some of it was because of the revenue share, right? And the ability to add additional income streams in here. Some because we were able to lower expenses, right? I agree with you, Donna, right? I was paying, close to $100,000 between all my agents and everything at another brokerage, and was able to significantly decrease that there. So if there were three things I'd tell every agent to do, it's get around the people who are making things happen, set a vision or a goal for what you want to happen inside of EXP or your company, and then listen and execute to what the people are saying around you.
Yeah, I think that that couldn't be more highlighted. The connections that I've been able to make going to EXP cons, going to private functions, going to Tom Ferry functions, the connections and networks that I've made, getting in the room with the right people has been what's really blown my business up. So you couldn't have said that better.
I agree. I want to step in. Plugging in, I didn't say because the downline or the group that I'm involved with, a lot of us are team leaders in the Tom Ferry organization. So I had this mentorship and connection with a lot of people already, but I think there's so many people that don't plug in. Like I mentioned, the different things that EXP offers, they don't plug into the resources, or if the person who you signed up with is not really doing what you want to do, and go find somebody in your group that is. That's just critical. And I would say, I get agents on my team that come over that are individual EXP agents that don't have an upline that's as work, or they're not plugged in and they're not doing what they need to do. And, it's unfortunate, but you just need to plug in, and there are things available, or move and find someone in your group who is doing what you want to do.
Yeah, exactly that. The guys at the top are not competing, they're collaborating, and it's getting in the room with those big collaborators that you're going to soak in a lot of value. Kendra, why don't you take it from here? When you joined EXP, what did you do first, and what is the most important for any new agent to do first and foremost?
I think the first thing I did was I really dove in and learned everything I possibly could about EXP and the model and the resources that were available to me. And I think what I see in this industry so much is that agents often aren't taking control of their own destiny and utilizing the resources that are available to them. And EXP, in my mind, offers the most out of any brokerage that I've been with, but it's also the onus is on the agent to take advantage of those and find them. And so I dove into the model to make sure that I knew it, because I knew when I came over, other agents in my marketplace would be asking me about it. Why did you switch? What's happening? All those types of things. So I wanted to make sure I was knowledgeable about that, but also finding out where the learnings are. Like I just went and walked around EXP World and popped into things and all those sorts of things too. And it was very different from the brokerage that I came from. But doing that and just finding the resources that are valuable to you, because I mean, there's so much presented here. Not all of it's going to resonate with everybody. But one that I found that I really like, that I'd like to share, is in Workplace. Go and find EXP Family Tree. There are so many great trainings and resources in there. And the EXP Family Tree was created for maybe those that didn't have a strong upline to, gain insight from. And so they wanted to make sure that everybody had access to some really world-class trainings. And there's some great offerings in there, especially if you're a relationship-based agent, which we are. We're all in the relationship business rather than sales business too. But Elizabeth Riley, so she's one of the leaders here that I've never met her personally, but I take in as many trainings as possible from her, because she operates her business in a way that I would like to operate my business in. She has some great trainings in there. One of my favorites, she shared everything she does to stay in touch with her database every month. She does something every month for them, and she shared exactly what she does. And I've gone in and I've utilized some of those, and they're really effective. So if you want me to tag you in that training, just send me a message on Workplace and I will. I've tagged a lot of people in it because it's really effective, but dive in. It's all here at your fingertips. There's people willing to help from all over the world here. So just, it's not even a risk. I was going to say, take a risk and just put yourself out there, but it's not a risk because the EXP is just so welcoming and people genuinely want to help each other. So it's just a really great place to be. So go and find what you need. It's there.
Scott, did you have a question? Scott Boscombe?
Hi, sorry. Yes, I did. Thanks everyone for sharing. I just had a question. I do have a team of about 16 agents here as well. And I know someone spoke earlier about having that, that brick and mortar space. I just like to find out if
in downtown, in this walkable, cute little downtown where they do First Friday and they have events all the time. I just thought was a good move, both financially and real estate wise for the team. So we could have community events at our office. We could be a place that people could meet and use. So for me, I do like it. The team likes it. We are in the middle of a remodel because I bought a 1938 building. And so we are in the middle of a remodel that'll be finished in 2 months. So I'm really looking forward to utilizing the building correctly. It's been kind of a mess the last year, but we still, I think it's going to actually bring more agents once it's completed and I have a nice place. I think we'll be able to have, invites, community events. We'll be able to have speakers and trainings there that are open to the community. So I think it'll be good in the long run. And then I had learned about doing a segregation study. So just like owning an investment property, my team rents out their space. The Donna Roberts Group rents out the space that we're using, and then the rest we will have tenants in. So I think financially and doing a segregation study on it, it will save me a lot of money in taxes last year. So rather than paying rent, and we did need it.
Yeah, Scott, I'd say your vibe attracts your tribe. I think that you can do 100% virtual, with a team or a brokerage. Obviously the brokerage here, right, where we're virtual here. I think if you were to grow a team or something, or take your team over, you could do it 100% virtual if you so chose. I think it takes a little bit of time to sit down and articulate, what is the value, what does the weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual rhythm look like, so that people know what they're getting into. But I think you could absolutely go 100% virtual if you so choose. At the same time, having space that people can call home and attracting them into that, right? I think some agents know or they like that. Some agents need that, right? I know my business partner has 3 boys at home, right? And sometimes they're not always at school, right? So, you can't just always work from home per se. So I think you have to decide what it is you want your business to look like. Who do you want to attract? And when you start to run with that vision, the right people will come along to that and fit into it. But I think you should have a little bit of clarity on what you want and what you can do. Because Donna mentioned a few great options, right? And some things you could do in terms of buying the building, right? Own the building. Right, and go from there. So definitely, whatever you choose, though, I think you could go either way.
Great, thank you.
Okay, fantastic, guys. I think we are touching on the last little bit of our hour here. If any of the icons have any words of wisdom that they'd like to add regarding to the forecast of 2024 and how they intend to dominate it, now's the time to jump in.
Sure, I'll kick it off. I think just for 2024, and even just looking back at my career and everything and where I'm at, I had to realize that, really the business isn't slow, or the market isn't slow, that I was moving slow. So, I've just been really hyper-focused on increasing my activities and controlling the things that I can control, right? Realizing that the market's not slow, I'm slow, right? I wasn't focused on the right things. I didn't set the right boundaries and expectations. I wasn't doing what was required in the changing market, right? I wasn't around the right people who were motivating me or pushing me for higher goals, right? Some people right now are focused on the holidays. I'm focused on kicking ass in 2024 and beyond. And when you're focused on the right things, you're going to attract the right people. You're going to attract the right vibe, and you're going to get the deals and the things that you're wanting out there in the world. It will come to you, but you have to be laser focused on it and be willing to pay the price to go get it. And so that's my biggest advice. Decide what you want and double down, triple down on those activities that are going to get there, because the line for what people want is long. The line for people who are willing to actually do the work is extremely short. And so be clear.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you. Absolutely. Find ways to work harder and find ways to work smarter. You got to do both. You can't just lean on one. Kendra, Donna, Omar, anything to end us on today's big presentation?
Something that's been like an eye-opener for me is, throughout our careers in any industry, you're always going to have a lot of successful people that are going to give you a lot of different paths, and many of them are completely parallel to one another, having no, connection whatsoever. For myself, and just, looking at some of my more successful team members, they're so diverse, they're so different in what they do. And the big takeaway, for me, is to find out what you're good at and lean into it. You might be someone who's amazing on the phones. One of my most successful team members is great on the phones. She does not know how to use a CRM. She works from paper, and she's my highest producing agent. And I'm like, and she's working with her hands tied, yet out producing all the other, agents on my team. So I'm like, you know what? It isn't broken. I'm not fixing it. She's great at what she does. And to boot, she's been undergoing, chemo, and has been making more money from a hospital bed utilizing infrastructure that I've put in place for the team. And just simply making sure that, when she eats a meal, she doesn't eat alone. Or if she has downtime, she gets on the phone with someone And it just those simple things that her leaning into her natural method of connection with people is generating insane amounts of business. I've got other people that they're more tech savvy. They heavily use a CRM. You know, for me, I like doing events. I just like being in front of rooms full of strangers. And the other folks on my team, they all have different methodologies. So again, the takeaway, find what you're good at and do it, because you're probably going to produce the most results for you, regardless of what anyone else around you is doing.
And I agree. I don't think there's any, I'm going to say a right or wrong way to do it, but just because somebody wants to work less hours than me, and, you know, there's plenty of people like you talked about the work-life balance that maybe are good making $50,000 a year, $60,000 a year. They don't want to go to the next level. Then there's nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, everybody's got their own, what they're trying to accomplish in life. So for me to realize that not everybody's like me, is driven like I am, and is wired like I am. And so that accept people where they're at. And that includes your team members or individual agents that want to be in this business. So that's what I love about this, is that I can meet agents when we talk to people where they're at. So if they want to be on a team, then we have that ability. If they want to be part of, a solo agent, we can help them as well. So I love that.
Fantastic. Thank you, Donna. Kendra, send us off with some words of wisdom.
I think I echo the comments of my colleagues ahead of me, but we need to find out why we do what we do. And sometimes to find our why, we need to find out, what we aren't, and finding our path in this way. And so, like I said, I don't really work a CRM. I take care of the clients I have in front of me, and I've leveraged my past experience. So you can't just plug into somebody else's shoes and be like, well, they do it this way, so I'm going to do it that way too. But you really got to find out what works for you. There's no magic bullet in this business, and you might most likely already know what you need to do, but you're just avoiding it. And the first step is just taking that first step and working on something. Whatever you pick or choose to do, commit to it, and commit to it to a length of time. I think we all want the quick win, and this is a long game, and that's why people don't stick around in this industry for, it's a hard industry to stick around in, is what I'm trying to say. So, it's the long game here. So if you're not getting, the quick win because you did one thing, that's because it's not a quick process by any means. So stick with it.
Exactly right. A lot of the icon agents you see here, there's no such thing as an overnight success. We've all reached a level of success here, but there's been years and years of changing strategies, learning strategies, new strategies. It does not happen overnight. Thank you all the icons for showing up today. We've had an amazing, wicked group of panels. If any of you in the audience have any questions for these icons, I encourage you to message them directly. I am sure they'd be more than happy to answer any questions you guys had outside of this. Thank you guys all for showing up. Thank you guys, icons. Kendra, Donna, Philip, Omar, you guys were awesome.
Thanks, Trevor. Thank you guys
Thanks
all
a
for
lot,
attending,
Trevor.
and definitely reach out.
Thanks, everyone.
I want to thank you all for joining today for ICONversations. Next week, Friday, every week we have these Friday mornings, and our moderator next week is Omar Din. See you then. Bye-bye.